Unit 2, the call of Moses. God prepares a deliverer for his people. Okay, so now we are into the life of Moses. And so Moses is born amidst this genocide where the Pharaoh, this new Pharaoh, has now commanded all the Hebrew midwives to kill any male infant. And of course, Moses is born during the midst of this. His mom brings him to birth and raises him, but she hides him and he grows up and she can't hide him for long. So she has to release him down into the river, which must have been just a huge act of faith, and God honors it. And at that time, Pharaoh's daughter sees the child coming down the river, and she rescues him and ends up raising him pretty much as an Egyptian, though he is a Hebrew child. And then we don't hear much about the life of Moses until this event later, as an adult, when he's grown up, and he sees a Egyptian beating a Hebrew, and Moses can't handle it, and he murders him, and he kills this Egyptian man, and then he flees. He takes off for fear of his life, and he goes to this place called Midian. So if we look at a map, we see some of these locations we've already looked at. We see Canaan, we see the land of Egypt. Goshen is probably somewhere right in there. We're not really sure. That was where Jacob and Joseph reunited. But Midian is down over here. And it's pretty far away probably from where he was. But why did he go over there? If we look down, just a little bit more of a zoomed in shot, Midian is far away from the land of Egypt, and it was actually outside of the Egyptian empire at that time. So if we look at the kind of the scope of the empire, he was trying to stay alive and not be punished for what he did. But when he gets down to Midian, some interesting things happen. First is he meets these girls who are the daughters of Jethro, who is a priest of Midian. They think he's an Egyptian, and he helps them out, and he actually ends up living with them, and he has a son with one of the daughters. So Moses is now living down in Midian, probably with no intention of going back up to Egypt, but that's when God calls him. And so while he's in Midian, God speaks to Moses through the burning bush, but what he speaks to him is he tells him the Abrahamic covenant. He tells him the promise that he has made to Abraham and to this people group. And then he says to Moses, I want you to go to Pharaoh, and I want you to petition to release them from slavery. Now, Pharaoh is the most important, most powerful man in the world at this time. But here's what God says in Exodus 3:9. It says, Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. Come now, therefore, I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, no, not even by a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in its midst, and after that he will let you go. Now imagine hearing that. Moses hears that, and he's terrified, right? The next thing that we read in Exodus, if you read the account in Exodus 2 and 3, he doesn't like the idea. He argues kind of back and forth with God, but God promises to be with Moses, and this is where he calls him. He says, I am will be with you. And then Moses obeys. He leaves. So he takes his family and he goes to return to Egypt. And on the way, he meets up with his brother Aaron, and they go first and they speak to the people. He goes and tells the Hebrews what God has told him. And then Moses and Aaron go to Pharaoh and they petition. And this is where we hear the classic, let my people go. They petition based on what God has spoken to Moses to let him go. But what does he do? Does he let him go? Of course he doesn't. In fact, he makes it worse. He increases the workload, and the children of Israel are now under more heavy labor. And then, of course, they are furious with Moses and Aaron for even doing this. And this goes on for a while. But finally, God has had enough, and the time has come, and the assault on Egypt is now going to begin. And so in our next unit, Unit 3, we're going to look at plagues and Passover, where God executes judgment and shows mercy.